somebody tried to hang themselves in the bathroom.
And then I remember he drank out of his canteen and I smelled alcohol.
Put everything he had for some reason with me. I
Didn't even
flew.
touch the wall.
I had one hand. That was about it. That's all I felt. And I flew.
Panda 1-6, Panda 1-6. This is Badger 2-2. Come in, over.
Badger 2-2, this is Panda 1-6. Send traffic, over.
Roger, E4 Mafia is a go. I say again, E4 Mafia is a go.
Roger that, execute.
Another day, another dollar.
Yeah, we back.
Back at it again.
Back at it. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Another day.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the E4 Mafia podcast. Today's episode is going to be about SOI MCT. This is episode 2 of the series, of the first part of the becoming a Marine and going through what you go through. We got deployments and the fleet and transitioning out left in this series. So let's get into it, man.
Yeah.
I'm Alan.
I'm Mike.
We're both Marines. I served from 15 to 19.
And I served from 2005 through 2009.
And we're going to get into this SOI MCT episode.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So why don't you explain what SOI is to the guys?
All right. Yeah. So once you graduate in boot camp, so I went through boot camp at Paris Island and then our School of Infantry, which is SOI. It was right there, right down the street, from Camp Lejeune. So essentially, School of Infantry is a little more than what you would do in boot camp as a basic, but it's basically a basic course and fundamentals of being in the infantry. You learn a little bit more about land nav, shooting, different, positions, fighting positions, stuff like that.
Tactics.
Yeah, tactics. Yeah.
And then MCT is Marine Corps Combat Training. It's only a month long versus our School of Infantry is was 3 months, an additional 3 months. 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's 3 months total.
3 months. Yeah, I think it was close to 3 months.
About another boot camp cycle. It's just not like boot camp.
Yeah.
But MCT is basically the first week of SOI, or the first month of SOI is basically almost the same as MCT.
I don't know.
Kind of the same ranges.
I'm pretty sure it is.
It's kind of your basic fundamentals of warfighting and stuff like that. MCT is for those that aren't infantry. They'll go through a month of that, and then they'll be shipped off to go to their schooling. Like if you're aviation, or if you go like a supply route, motor T, you'll go to those schools after MCT, so that you might have to work another 2 or 3 months at your school and go through that. But for SOI, we don't go through MCT. Mm-hmm. We go to your SOI, and I guess we're gonna be more talking about SOI since that's the one we went through.
Yeah.
But again, it's basically this. It's basically just more MCT than. So what we talk about for the first part of it, or what we went through, you're going to be learning some of the ranges, stuff like that.
Yeah. MCT is basically their version of. It's a little shorter. They go through some similarities of courses and stuff like that, but they don't really go in depth as we would.
No.
For School of Infantry, because that's part of our job. Once they get done with their month or so, however long it is, then like you said, they go through if they're going for aviation mechanics or supply or whatever it may be, a different field of work.
They got their own school.
Yeah, they have to go through their own school after that. Yeah.
So, for those of you guys watching or listening, please comment. Maybe we left something out on MCT. Maybe you guys went to MCT and we'll leave it out while you're listening. Drop us a comment. And let us know what we missed or what we should have talked about. That way, people that are about to go through MCT or are going to join, what they can expect from y'all's angle of lens versus ours. So
yeah,
I remember getting there. You went to Cherry Point as well, next to Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
So we both went to Paris Island. Both got stationed at Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
Cherry Point's right next to Camp Lejeune, and it's where the School of Infantry is. Recon. Scout Sniper.
Yeah.
Some of their courses are down there too. Yeah. I know Scout Sniper because I remember seeing them throughout doing what we do.
Yeah.
basically, School of Infantry is learning what you're going to do throughout the infantry. So eventually, you get to pick whether you want to become a machine gunner, mortarman, or just a normal door kicker. Those are your three options, and you go into depth once you choose which one you want to go to, or if you don't get to choose, sometimes they just place you in one of the billets that need to be filled.
Yeah, I was placed
Okay.
at the time. Yeah.
I got to choose because Dad was in the Korean Army and you were infantry door kicker, and they asked us, eventually they asked us, like, when we got to that part of SOI, who has family members has always been machine gunners or always been door kickers, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, I do. Eventually, now I get to say I instead of this recruit. I do. And they placed me. I got to choose to do door kicker,
Okay.
which I was cool with.
Yeah.
I really didn't want to be a mortarman.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
machine gunner was pretty cool, but I was like, nah, I'll just be a door kicker. It's fine.
Yeah. After knowing what I went through and seeing what they had to do, I think I'd rather be a door kicker anyways.
Yeah.
Machine gunners, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. their humping abilities and strength that they need is insane.
Even the mortarmans,
Yeah, because there's a lot of heavy gear.
Yeah.
But I remember you get there, get your receiving, and then you're kind of just waiting for the next class to go through. For me, I think it was like about a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We're just waiting.
Mine was about a week. The biggest thing that I remember while waiting before we got assigned to whoever we're going to, somebody tried to hang themselves in the bathroom.
Good Lord.
Yeah. After they just graduated, boot camp. We've only been there, I think,
dude,
I was there for about 3 days. So we were sitting there waiting for a week. So I think it was the third day. I just saw people run into the bathroom, and they brought them out. And they called the MPs and the paramedics or whatever. And they rushed over. I was like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "This dude tried to hang himself with a belt." And I thought how crazy that is that you just graduated from one of the hardest boot camps out of the military branches. You've made it. You're a Marine. Well, I mean, what had to go through your life? I'm not dogging that dude, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I'm with you. I was about to
and
say
I'm
the
not
same thing.
putting him down, but what was going through your mind to do that?
Yeah,
you know
you just
I mean?
went through one of the hardest things, and
Yeah,
I mean, I can see it. After like deployments and stuff like that. Even like when you first get into the fleet, which is the next episode we'll get into, but I can kind of see that because I had to deal with that with some of my junior guys.
yeah,
But like, yeah, you're an SOI. Like,
yeah.
which it still sucks, but it's not that bad. Like,
Yeah, but we hadn't even started yet. You know what I mean?
so you're
We're
just
waiting. Once you got in, once you start, it was. I thought for a second that it was going to be like boot camp over again with the instructors that you had, but it was a lot more chill.
Yeah.
Than I expected.
So, yeah, receiving, and then you get your or SOI. What is it? Combat instructors.
Yeah.
That's what they're called. I remember we had 3. I'm not going to say any names because some of the stories, if that were to get out, possibly could get them in trouble, which we're going to talk about. And I'm not sitting here trying to, Blue Falcon anybody.
Yeah.
Because they're great stories and they were great. They were great leaders and they were great combat Marines.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave their names out of it. But the guys that are listening that I went through SOI school with, if you guys do listen to or watch it, you'll know who I'm talking about, obviously. So I remember first getting there and we started learning about classes. It was mostly classes, learning about, how far can the M4 shoot, how to take those tests, and you had to pass them, nomenclature, gas operated, then you had to learn about the SAW, belt fed, gas operated, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Learn nomenclature for that, learn the drills for tap right bang, when the gun jams, what are those called?
Yeah.
Immediate action.
Remedial actions, yeah.
Yeah. Remember that, and the great thing about SOI, like I don't know if it's MCT too. Maybe they don't get it, but we got Libo on the weekends.
Yeah. We didn't get it off the bat.
No,
I didn't.
No. I think it's about after the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
We also had 3 or 4 females go through with us.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
It was optional. So back then, before they integrated females into the infantry, like officially, I don't know if that's still a thing. Comment, let me know. I remember when I got to the fleet towards my second deployment, they had Marine Corps or female machine gunners, like legit. And dude, they were some bad chicks. They were like running circles around the other dudes. So I was like, dude, if you're better than them, fuck it.
Yeah.
Come through.
Yeah.
But they got the option. They said you can go through MCT or you can go through SOI. And these are some of the hard charger females.
Yeah.
Most of them fell out throughout the hikes.
Mm-hmm.
They had their own separate berthing. I think there was like 3 or 4 of them.
Okay.
And then we also had 3 sergeants come through lat transfer.
Oh, okay.
Become infantry. So they were coming from, I think it was like Motor T or whatever. They became our squad leaders.
Okay.
Obviously, because you know, a bunch of PFCs and privates, and now we have 3 sergeants.
Yeah.
And we had staff sergeants and sergeants as our combat instructors.
Okay.
So they were going through with us. And I remember, I don't know if we picked them up right away. I think we picked them up a little bit later somehow, but they had to go through School of Infantry first.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember my instructors, my combat instructors.
the only reason I don't remember one of them. I don't remember 2 of their names. 2 of the other ones, I don't really remember their names. The one I remember is the one that did a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
And but it was just genuine. It was fun.
Yeah.
But I remember them giving us a spiel. You know, we got to go to chow. It was more of like, you go to chow at this time, come back at this time.
Yeah.
Then we have this to do all this. But prior to going to like the field and doing all the ranges, we had to learn, like I said, the classroom stuff, and we had to learn how to what sector fires were, dig cat holes, dig our fighting positions, what those look like.
Yeah.
Disassemble our weapons constantly. What was buddy rushing or bounding? You know, they see me, I'm down.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember the first little phase of it was.
Yeah.
If that rings a bell.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. You learn sectors of fire, formations. You go more in depth with formations and your contacts and stuff like that while you're in formations.
Why the formations work, like echelons right, when to use it.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you catch contact to the rear, this is probably the best way.
Yeah.
Ambush, L shape, and crow's feet. I think that's what it was called.
I think so.
Mainly, we learned crow's feet.
Yeah.
But mainly it was crow's feet and then online and then L shape. L shape was the main one we used for our training exercises.
I think we did V's and stuff like that too. I don't remember
It's been a while, dude.
It's been forever. The terminology of some of the stuff I don't even.
The only reason I remember L shape is because we had a machine gunners on the L of it, looking down the main MSR or whatever we were looking at, the road, and that's where the machine gunners were stationed. And then we had mortarmen and whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually down the road. But yeah, that's what we mainly did, and then we did a couple of ranges. I remember the ranges were one of the main ones that I guess everyone had trouble with was the night shoot. Mm-hmm. And you remember the Ivan targets, right? Those little green stupid targets that fall whenever you shoot them. Yeah. Well, the Marine Corps make do with whatever materials you have, so the Ivan targets are already shot up. Yeah. There's like giant holes in them because everyone's been shooting them. So you might shoot the Ivan target and it may not fall. Yeah. And then you're not getting scored for that. And I'm like, this is bullshit because I'm like my IR laser's on them. When I shoot this target, this one goes down. But when I shoot that one, it don't go down. Yeah. So I remember we did that.
I don't even remember. They're like made out of some type of foam or some crap.
Plastic.
Hard foam.
It's plastic.
Is it plastic?
The ones I went through were like thick plastic. Yeah. And there was some stuff behind them, but it was mainly just plastic. That was your main material. And then they never were replaced half the time because there's no budget in it.
Yeah. Well, the Marine Corps always had the low end of the budget anyways. We got the shitty gear that got, handed down to us like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah. I remember issued our weapons, got to go to the armory. Yeah. And it wasn't like boot camp. Like those are your rifles and
you were responsible for those.
You still had to get them. You still had to lock them up with the lock through the your ejection port cover.
Yeah, on your bunks.
Yeah, you still had to lock them. There was still fire watch.
Yeah.
Whenever we were on Libo, you had to have fire watch. Which again, like the last episode, there was a scribe in this one. Make friends with the scribe, so you don't have to come back in the middle of Libo to come and do fire watch because there is fire watch still there. Yeah. But yeah, so you start going through like the ranges. I can't remember. Did we shoot 203s there? I think we did.
I think so. Because we got to shoot a lot more than you would in boot camp.
You got to shoot AT4s and laws.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we got to shoot 203s as well.
Yeah, you did. I think everybody had to go through some portion of different weapons and stuff.
Now, I may be mixing up my stories, but it was either the fleet range or this range whenever we were shooting. And, I became a 203 gunner for my fire team when I first got to the fleet. And he was like, the misfire drills. You had to wait 30 seconds. You hear the click, wait 30 seconds, halfway open the breech, quarter turn, reload it, click again, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, the kid didn't do it. He clicked, immediately took it out, and was like, click. He was like, what the hell? So he opened the breech, and the round came out, and he called it. The instructor was like, or either instructor or whoever, might have been the fleet. I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing my stories up, but he's like, oh, no. He's like, put it back in. As soon as he put it in, maybe a second, the thing launched.
Damn.
And I was like, whew. Damn. And I remember one of the laws misfired.
Yeah.
Had to go through that drill. I don't remember the law misfire drills, but I remember went to the point to where they had to walk it down. I remember you had to carry it like this down range as you walk with it. You carry it, and you had to go to the EOD pit, the explosion pit.
I don't remember.
I remember they put it over there, and then they had to call the EOD guys to come out and hit it.
Detonate it?
Yeah, because it didn't go off. I'm pretty sure that's scary, especially if you're a combat instructor having these new guys and you don't know what he's going to do. But you do that. Then if you want to explain the backblast, what backblast is.
So your backblast area for your laws or
AT4s.
Your AT4s, any of those. It's a certain area, you could say.
It's like a cone.
It's a cone. I can't remember how far it is.
I can't even. I want to say it's 45 degrees.
Yeah, the degrees. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the meters of how far your backblast actually goes. But within that sector, you want to make sure it's clear. So you always scream, backblast area all secure, and then
wait for them to say back.
Yeah, and then they say it, and then they'll tell you to fire. If you're within that area, you're going to probably have a major headache. But if you're even closer, you make your heart stop at one point, ringing in the ears especially. So you always want to make sure that the backblast area is always clear before you fire the AT4 or rocket or whatever the hell you're firing.
Yeah, you get to fire a lot of cool shit.
Yeah. You get to fire those. You go more in depth, really, on your
weapon
techniques and
all that.
Yeah, and while you're shooting, the bounding was one of my favorites, and I understood it, but I didn't really like doing it. Was the they up, they see me, I'm down crap. Because when I got in, of course, they always gave the smallest and shortest person the saw.
Yeah.
So I had the saw, and essentially, if you don't know what a saw is, it shoots the same round as your normal rifle that you would carry. 5.56. It's belt fed, and it's just your machine gun, your personal machine gun, that helps suppress fire when if you're in that situation.
Yeah.
To keep their heads down while your riflemen are bounding.
How was it for you guys? Was it 1 or 2 per squad, or is it 1 per fire team? I couldn't remember.
What's that?
The saw.
The saw was 1 per fire team.
Yeah.
So you got 3 fire teams in a squad, and then you have one saw in each fire team, and then you had 1 grenadier, or your 203 guy, and then everybody else was your normal rifleman.
So whenever I was going through, we had to learn about the saw and all that. We got to shoot it, but we had to we didn't get to carry it very often because we were switching to the IARs.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was dumb. It's a full auto rifle.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what your M4 was, anyways. 3-round. It just didn't have 3-round burst.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are we changing this for a magazine-fed weapon when you need the machine gun? But I guess because of all the issues they've had with saws jamming and whatever the case, I don't know.
But we didn't have that many issues with our saws.
I don't know how they justified it or why they changed it, but the Marine Corps was moving that way, trying to evolve, and that's what we had to carry and learn. But we also had to learn the saw. So those were still in rotation in the fleet.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, we learned about those, and that's what we mainly carried. And this is your first time that you're introduced to what the field is. What is the field?
Yeah.
You know, having to make a camp. I don't know the technical word for what is it called? The Marine Corps word, camp.
Yeah. I mean, it's your fob, essentially, that you're creating your personal platoon fob, if you want to call it whatever.
Internal,
Yeah. So, you know, and then
when I hear fob, I think, you know, the big husk scan barriers and there's like legit tents, and it's like, you know, that's when I think fob. You know what I mean? Barbed wire around, and it's like pretty much a forward operation base. Fob is forward operating base, but you know,
but it's your internal fob, essentially. It's just a smaller version.
So that's when you're first introduced to going to the field. What is the field? Don't even know it's called the field yet.
No.
And you're sitting there when it's raining. You had to learn how to put up your tent. You put up your what is it? Your tarp. Stake it down with the 550 cord.
Yeah.
And all that. I remember it was raining one night, and they told us to sleep at this little field, and nothing but just water.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, how do they do this? And you're in your little fucking baby sack, and you're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Just mad as all get out, get no sleep. And then the next day you got to do the range, and the instructors are sleeping in their trucks.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah. Or their Humvees that they bring out.
Yeah.
You know,
I was like, man, this is crazy. But yeah, I mean, kind of get the same feel as boot camp as far as like little sleep and always moving and always gunning and moving.
Yeah.
My favorite part about the whole thing. You were going to say something? I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say it's just more instructional than anything.
Sure.
It's more, they're teaching and training you, and it's more instructional at that point when you're in SOI. It's not all that screaming and stuff like you in boot camp, but the concept of you're eating more MREs now.
For sure.
You know, because you're out in the field.
You're responsible for your packing list.
Yeah, you're responsible for everything. They don't. If you don't have it, you don't have it.
But you also get in trouble if you don't have it.
Right. But if you didn't pack it, you're screwed. You know. So whatever they tell you to pack, then make sure you pack it.
Yeah.
Because you never know. They might ask, or you might need it, and you're like, I don't want this extra weight. Yeah, you just gotta suck it up.
I do remember it's also when you're first introduced to gear inspections.
Yeah.
Because the hikes that you have to go and complete certain hikes, you have to have a certain gear list.
Yep.
And the machine gunners obviously have to carry their machine gunners, their A bags, their tripods, and all that. And mortarmen have to carry the mortar plate, the mortars, the rounds, or whatever the hell. And I remember that's when you first introduced to pull all your stuff out, and we're gonna go by the numbers, inspect it, and make sure you have it. Now place this in there. But they also what you don't really get. I mean, I kind of got a little bit of it, but what they teach you in SOI, at least my instructors did, is the weight distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Where to pack what, and you must have this. Put this on this side. Cram it down. You want some of your light stuff on the bottom, but you want your heavy stuff somewhat in the middle, so it evens out on your hips and your weight and all that. So it's not like going backwards. You don't want it at the top. You want it somewhere towards the bottom middle. All your heavy gear, because it's going to distribute. That's key, because we do a lot of humping, and humping is just hiking, guys. If you guys, it's not like actual humping for the guys that aren't military or whatever.
Y'all out there humping each other? No,
trying to get guys to go to the Marine Corps, they hump each other out there.
Yeah.
But humping is what you call just hiking. A lot of gear, and that's when I was first introduced to like I said, the weight distribution. I thought that was pretty. Like who would think about that?
I wouldn't have thought about it. But they also showed us, what was that damn mat called?
ISO mat.
Yeah, your ISO mat. We use that as a barrier inside your backpack. So
ours clipped to the bottom.
Yeah. So in boot camp, that's what we had to do. We put it on the bottom or the side, I can't remember. But in SOI, we put it inside. But then when I got in, because in boot camp we had the rucksack with the metal frame. When I got in SOI, we had the ILB packs. Yeah, or they call them ILB packs or whatever it's called.
That's what they're called for us too.
Yeah, so the ISO mat we put inside and we opened it up, and that's how we distributed our stuff. And they showed you how to roll your socks, your
grunt rolls.
Yeah, your grunt rolls, your t-shirts, same thing. How to do your trousers, your camis and stuff like that. And you had it nice and neat, you could actually fit a lot of stuff in those LB packs.
Yeah.
Because they were massive. Because on top of your LB packs, we had your butt packs, they call it. and then your day packs on the outside.
Yeah.
So you had a good bit of stuff in there that you could fit. I mean, you had at least, I would say, about 80 pounds, 75, 80 pounds.
Yeah. It's a wild thing they actually thought about that and to teach you guys. I'm guessing because of obviously learned battles and learned trials that someone messed their back up or couldn't hike because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, because and they also taught you what's the most important things that you would need if you would have to leave your LB packs. So you put certain things in your butt
assault
packs,
pack.
in your what we call day packs. They call them assault packs.
Same
now.
thing.
Yeah, and then you make sure you would have extra pair of socks in your assault pack instead of putting everything at the bottom of your LB packs.
Your LB pack was more of a. If you're going to think about it, for those that aren't in the military, if you want to think about it this way, LB packs are more of like you're going camping. What do you need? Like your luxury items, like certain like a mosquito netting or whatever the case was, like the extra clothes. Your assault pack was more of like your boogaloo bag. Like if something were to happen right now, I know you have them, I have them.
Yeah,
I can grab that pack. It has the medical supplies, ammo.
Yeah.
Some drinks, some water, bless you, some water filters or whatever the case is. That's what it's kind of like. So if you had to leave your LB pack, could you get your assault pack and survive for 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
Which I think some of the ones where it's like some of the ops or the training field operations where you only get your assault pack.
Yes.
I can't remember because then they're like, okay, now we're going to simulate. You got to go. You had to leave your LB pack, or you're only gone for a day's mission, and now it's coming back and you Black Hawk down. Kind of thing, you don't need those. You don't need those batteries.
Yeah, so we had one scenario where we had to at our fob, our internal fob, we had to leave our LB packs there, and then they wouldn't tell you, okay, take out what you need. They said grab your day packs.
Yeah, because you're supposed to have the certain packing list on them.
Yeah, and so we grab them, and then we'll go out for 2 or 3 days while we're already out in the field.
Yeah,
we'll go to a different site, and they give you this made up mission. Yeah, and so you had your go bag essentially.
And I remember going on patrol. It's like this is the first part before you get to Mount Town, which is really the mount stuff was what I really loved. That was like urban warfare.
Yeah.
This is before that. We had to dig our heavy fighting position and then our cat holes.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, what is it, like 5 feet, 6 feet deep, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you had an extra foot of extra 1 or 2 feet, a smaller hole for your grenade. If they threw a grenade in there, that's where you'd kick it into, so you wouldn't get hit with a grenade.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta dig like a 6 foot wide, 5 foot deep, or 6 foot deep, and like 2 or 3 foot other way hole with a freaking e-tool.
Yeah.
And it's like you and your buddy, and then you can't both start digging because you got to have some kind of security while you dig.
Yeah.
So one's on security, the other one's digging.
Yeah.
And when you get tired, you switch.
Yeah.
And then once you get that set up, you got to put your sector fire post in there, your stakes.
Yeah.
So how far right and how far left. And you got to have fire plan sketches.
Yep.
Which is what all fire plan sketches basically what you see. And you have to draw on a piece of paper, what's your left lateral limit and what's your right lateral limit for your fighting hole. And you put out what you see, and the reason for that is that gets passed up to your squad leaders, or whatever, and they can have a bigger picture of what they're covering, where the gaps are. And then your left lateral limit has to intersect with the other person's right lateral limit, and that's how you cover everything. And then the machine gunners have their own special spot where the most egress or the most avenue of approach. Mm-hmm. That's where the machine gunners are. All that you learn all that, which is a real hassle. Like, it's a lot to do, man. Digging a hole that big on top of a 2 foot deep, 3 foot wide cat hole with a little bit of a mound.
Yeah.
And then you got to camouflage it. Doing all this with this little bitty ass e-tool. It's just
e-tool is just basically this miniature shovel that folds in half. And I hated, one thing I really didn't like was doing writing it down on those wax.
Writing the rain papers?
Yeah, whatever it was. I hated doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't mind digging the hole, but unless, because the area we were in, it was already, it wasn't that bad. Not like out here where you got the red clay and stuff, but it did suck, Yeah. But after a while, you got tired of doing it. You're just like, this is retarded. This is stupid.
Yeah, because you got to do it so many times. And then throughout the night, obviously you got fire watch, and then you have night patrols, day patrols.
Yeah.
And that's when one of the first funny stories comes out. So at this time, I mean, you're a Marine, so you can smoke,
Yeah.
you can dip, but they don't allow it whenever you're out in the field. At least my instructors didn't, especially smoking, because they said the MBG lights.
Yeah, that's the first time because I never smoked, so I smoked when I got in the Marine Corps in SOI, but that was actually the first time I started dipping as well.
Yep.
Because you couldn't have the cigarettes out there, anyways.
Well, they didn't let us dip either.
Yeah, they let us dip. Well, they didn't know we were dipping, but yeah, that was the
weren't
first
allowed.
time I actually tried dip, and boy, that was rough.
Your first dip.
Yeah,
Oh,
I accidentally
yeah, it's
swallowed
always
some
bad.
and got dizzy and
Not
threw up.
throw up, yeah.
No, I did throw up.
You did throw up, yeah.
I threw up. Yeah.
That's when my first dip wasn't from a student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was from one
that's
of the
good.
instructors.
Yeah.
So we go on a night patrol. You get issued NVGs and all that. So we're doing a night patrol, and one of the combat instructors have to go with you.
Yeah.
So you don't get lost.
Yeah.
They're like, "Where's this fire team?" And they're like, "I don't know. They're pretty bad."
Yeah.
But he decided to stop middle patrol, and he was like, "All right, gather around. Here, everyone take one." And he's passing out cigarettes. It's like, what the fuck is going on? We're not supposed to have these. He's like, he starts passing. Now he's lighting everyone's cigarettes. He's like, "All right, everyone, here you go." And he holds out his hand. I'm like, "What does he want me to high five him or something? What's going on?" I can't see anything.
Yeah.
And then it finally gets close enough to me where I can see it and I can smell it, and it's dip.
Yeah.
Freaking Copenhagen straight.
Ooh.
I was like, oh god.
So that was your first time.
First
Copenhagen
time,
straight.
so he pulls out because we're not allowed to have it. And this was like cool. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, thank you, Sergeant. I don't dip. He's like, "You're gonna take a dip." I was like, "Roger that, Sergeant." Put it in my mouth, and I was like, "This is disgusting." And then I ended up starting to like it. Whatever.
You didn't get a big one, did you? I would have got the smallest.
I didn't
pinch
know
ever.
what big or small was at the time, dude. I had no idea what dip was. I didn't really care for dip.
Yeah.
Didn't really smoke. That was my first, time smoking a, cigarette and all that too. And
Yeah.
and so we're sitting there. I remember, in order to light the cigarettes, you had to throw a tarp over us, which didn't matter if we took it off and you could see the embers.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
And then I remember he drank out of his canteen, and I smelled alcohol.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, yeah, this guy's legit. This guy, now I'm thinking about, like, this guy's he's, salty as hell.
Yeah.
All their camis are all sun salted and sun, you can tell they had their camis a while. But yeah, that was the first time. And then we got back, and that was it. That was one of the first times that's when I knew more was to come. I knew that, like, this guy was about to make this podcast. You know what I mean? In the back in the day, he's about to make some. We're going to talk about this guy for the rest of our lives, probably.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's when you're first introduced to the patrols at night, during the day, setting up ambushes. But my favorite thing again was Mount Town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Patrolling into it and then getting in it, sleeping inside of Mount Town in buildings that you had to occupy. For Mount Towns, I forgot what it stands for, but it's basically a bunch of buildings. It's urban warfare, city warfare and all that. So that's basically what a Mount Town simulates.
Yeah. So so you go in depth of learn how to maneuver and train with your team or squad through buildings, essentially. Learn how to
Room clear,
how to your door entry level stuff. How to toss a grenade into a room or a flashbang or
that is when you first throw a grenade, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when you first throw one.
A real grenade. I remember I was just really scared.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the first time, and then again, this part of your phase of in the Marine Corps as an infantryman is where you get a little bit more training on as an infantryman, essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I learned how to. You do a little more depth of pieing doors, windows,
finger searching for IEDs.
Yeah, stuff like that. If you got hallways with multiple doorways, how to do that.
4-man entries.
Stacking.
Yep.
Going through windows.
Yeah. Oh god.
The
Going
first
over
time.
walls.
Yeah.
Because I was a bigger dude, that I was the guy that I had to lift him over, step on my back. Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That.
So you got. I think it was 3 or 2 ways of doing that. You got the person. Of course, they're gonna pick the biggest dude, where you bend over and they run and jump on top of your back to go over the wall, or you can
do that.
Do this. I forgot what it's called, and then they'll push you up. So me being the smallest out of the group, I always went first.
Yeah.
And so when I was the first one, I forgot the dude's name, but he put everything he had for some reason with me. I
Didn't even
flew.
touch the wall.
I had one hand. That was about it. That's all I felt. And I flew over. And I forgot you're supposed to say something when you get in or over.
Set probably.
I think so. Something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
I just remember I was on my face. I rolled over. Hit face first. Rolled over, and I got up. I was like, "Set." My gun wasn't even up or nothing.
Yeah.
I was knocked out.
The first 2 guys post security left and right, forward, and then the rest of the guys hop over.
Yeah. Yes. So you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Going in,
And then once you learn that, the room entries and clearing rooms and sectors of responsibilities within the room, you go and you start fighting. You start fighting the instructors. The instructors are simulating bad guys, are shooting blanks, and
yeah.
I remember we were in the mountain town patrolling through. That's when you learn about dispersion, learn about why dispersion is important for bombs, grenades. If one does go off, it only takes out 2 instead of the whole squad.
Mm-hmm.
And we were walking through, and I remember a grenade came over and landed in the middle of the formation. Everyone else ran. I decided to jump on the grenade for some reason, thinking I was some kind of hero. I was like, I had plenty of time to run behind cover. I don't know why I didn't, but it was a blue body grenade. Blue bodies are fake grenades, have the same shape, and there's a little fuse inside of it that goes pop. And it's aluminum or metal encased, so there is some sort of shrapnel, but it gets stuck within inside the grenade mostly. Yeah, but I remember I ran over there and jumped on it, and I was waiting, and I was like, boom, and it popped, and I was like, okay. I remember one of the staff sergeants came out. I was like, "Yee, you dumbass motherfucker! What are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And he's like, then he was like, I got to me. I was like, "I'm sorry," or whatever apology. And he was like, "Are you okay?" It's like, yes, Sergeant, I'm okay. And I have a big black stain on my damn flak jacket. Yeah. And he's like, "Don't do that again. Just go get cover." I was like, okay. Yeah. And then by the time he was done talking to us, the Op 4 other instructor was on top of a roof and opened up with a damn 240. We had to disperse and figure out how to, now our squad split across the street, what we're going to do. Yeah. We eventually got into a building, but yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. The biggest thing there also is communication. So you always want to communicate with each other and know what your position is, in as far as roles of what you're doing. Yeah. That was the biggest thing that I've learned when I was in there was communicating and understanding what's going on. 'Cause if you don't communicate, then somebody's gonna be lost or snatched up or dead.
I want to say the Op 4 instructors, one of the instructors purposely, the last guy, they told him to stop and hold. And at this point, we were moving from building to building. So we're going out one window, crossing over this little alley in between the building, and then going into another building through the window. And I guess, whatever, the accountability the squad leader was supposed to do, who's up, team leaders, we got everybody, whatever, they all said yes. Yeah. And the old buddies sitting next to the instructor. Yeah. And we got fucked up for that. Yeah.
That it's not the same one, right? At Camp Lejeune, it's a completely different mount, right?
I want to say it's somewhere out. There's multiple of them, but this one is strictly for, I think it's on Cherry Point. Okay. But it's strictly for SOI. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure you can still go over there as a fleet. If it's not being used, you can go do it. I think I remember us actually going there in the fleet doing an exercise there. Yeah. But mainly it's the same one everyone goes through. Unless it's changed. I mean, they could have built a new in Mount Town or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's when you first get introduced to radios too, and you have to learn the radios that you forget. Obviously, when you get to the fleet and your actual squadron team leader is like, "What is this?" Like, here, talk me through this, trying to make sure you understand it, and you're like, you push this button, and then this is the encryption, and then you're like, you get messed up for that. You gotta learn radios, dude. If you gave me a radio right now, I probably couldn't work that thing.
No, nah. I just remember the connectors were always bad, so you always had to lick your fingers or have an eraser or some crap,
I remember the stupid antenna. You had to fold it out and sit there flopping.
Yeah.
Foldable antenna, so dumb.
Yeah.
You would think with the technology nowadays we can have better comms, but I'm sure the Marine Corps wouldn't get it until 10 years later.
To me, I would say the most part for me was the difficult part of when you're going through mount and training. It was the stairways, because you always had to have one going backwards and one going forward, and not for some reason I was always the one going backwards, and I'm always.
And you got to stay on. You got to stay on step with the person in front of you walking backwards.
Yeah.
And then you have to like crouch down, and then when you're ready, it's like you have to like lower your crouch, and then when you're at the top, you ready to say ready or set, one ready, pop, and you both stand up straight and you pop.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly,
I have a feeling there was well, I'm sure there is now, but there's a better way of doing that. But
yeah, but
at the time,
honestly, there's better ways to clear a room too.
Yes, of course.
As I was transitioning out, we were trying to adapt it and change it. So hopefully the Marine Corps has changed it to where they're saving lives. But I hate to say it, but you're an expendable number.
Yeah.
If you get killed, oh well.
Yeah.
They don't want. I mean, they say they don't want you, and I'm sure they don't want you to get killed. But if you do get killed, as long as we kill the bad guy, well, there's 3 more guys to replace you coming out of SOI. So
yeah.
But learning now, there's way better ways more technologies. And we'll get into that with the fleet episode, because my platoon was the guinea pig platoon for certain things like the drones, suppressors, the white nods instead of the green nods that can't see anything. But we'll get into that for the next episode. But yeah, I remember we left that guy behind on accident. We had to figure out how to search people whenever they get killed, what you're supposed to do. If you take one person down, what is an after action report?
Yeah.
Kind of got into that a little bit. Not like you would in the fleet.
No.
What is a 9-line?
Yeah.
What is a 9-line? That's your biggest thing as an infantry Marine. You better be able to spit a 9-line up.
Yeah.
And you learn all that, and that's what I thought was probably the coolest thing, was that the part that sucked the most to me was the stupid I'm up, they see me, I'm down, open field maneuver.
Yeah.
When there's a tree line right to your left and right, why not just use a tree line? There's natural cover there. Let's just use that instead of maneuvering through this. Go attack this machine gun bunker in the open field. Like that's not smart. It's not smart at all. We can just now you know what you're going through the fleet. Why don't we just call for fire or something on the damn thing?
Oh yeah, because we had to do that too. Call for fire. Learn how to directionally call for fire for.
Then you forget it.
Either Mortarmans or your heavy artillery. Yeah, then you forget it. Did you actually get to do a nylon for real? Like actually execute one? Because we were able to do that.
Like on deployments?
No, in SOI. We would actually be able to call a nylon, throw your smoke, and you call it out, and they actually sent the helo to land there.
No, we got everything besides a helo coming.
Okay.
So we got to throw smoke. Well, how to throw smoke.
Yeah.
Wind
the
direction,
directions and stuff like that.
Look at the wind direction. Be smart about it.
Yeah.
Panels from your dry sacks. Because the inside of them were orange. I'm guessing for that reason specifically. Yeah. The outside was green, so you'd flip it inside out. Yeah. And you marked on your 9-line. You say marked by orange air panel. Yeah. And that's what it was. Okay. But yeah, we got to do everything like you're saying, except for the helo coming in. Yeah. In the SOI. In the fleet, there was other exercises where they actually casevac people, casualties or whatever, and that's how you train that. But that was way longer, way further in the fleet when you go through your training exercises. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, once you choose your your set thing, whether you become a machine gunner, door kicker, or a mortarman. Certain you might be in Mountain Town, but you may not be working together. They may break off for that day or half that day to go work on machine gunner stuff. And the mortarman, same thing. And I can't speak for machine gunners and mortarmen because I didn't go through that, but I don't know what all the training is for that.
Yeah,
They still get trained as a door kicker too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, looking back on it, I may have wanted to become a machine gunner, not a mortarman, but I think machine gunner would have been kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because they get their door kickers too. They're just getting extra training on machine guns,
Yeah,
and they don't have to go do I'm up, see me, I'm down.
Yeah, they don't.
They just sit back there and
They just find a good avenue approach or a high point.
lay down suppressive fire.
Yeah, and they lay down suppressive fire for us, so we can go do that damn up, see me, I'm down crap.
We did learn dead gunner drills. We had to practice that too.
Yep.
Whenever, so we kind of got a little bit on machine gun.
Yeah.
I got to the fleet, and I remember our squad leader wanted us cross trained, so we had to learn machine gunner jobs.
Yeah.
But
We did too. Yeah. Even mortarmen.
Because they were saying, like, if we're all hiking or whatever and they all go down, that fire team of machine gunners go down, we can learn how to use that.
Yeah.
So got to do all that, and Mount Town. It was just a fun time. That's like what you expected to go through.
Yeah.
Good training. It was like playing Army back in the day, but just with higher
Right.
gear and actual stakes and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the basics of what you're, because you do go through more advanced, if you get the opportunity, once you get in the fleet, you can go through more advanced mount, what do you call it?
There's stuff for like
instructions or
there's TSOLC. There's one for like TSOLC. It's just for like squad leaders.
Yeah, I went through that in the fleet, so
I didn't get to go through it, but I got to be the op 4 for it.
Okay.
So I got to see what they were learning. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think in SOI too, they learn like casualty carries, fireman carries, how to carry them, tourniquets, your medical stuff, all that stuff, and then the makeshift litter with your blouses.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
Find some strong sticks and put your blouse through them, and that's a makeshift litter.
Yep.
Beat fucking fireman carrying somebody.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Setting up your flags. For SOI, we had them all uniformed. You couldn't have, like, when I got to the fleet, they were like, set your flag up. These things have to be certain spots, but everything else is free game. Like, you can put your magazines wherever you need to or whatever. That you
In SOI?
No, in the fleet.
Oh, in the fleet,
in
yeah.
SOI, everything was, but like,
Yeah,
show a
everybody
picture,
had to be,
an example. Everyone has to be the same.
Yeah.
So you get to learn all your jobs and whatnot. I liked there was other stories. That same sergeant that gave me a dip in the cigarette, he always said his main slogan, we got him a t-shirt whenever we're done. You're not supposed to get him gifts. But we all went and pitched in on it for a custom t-shirt that said, eat like a king on the back of it. And it had a crown. Because every time we go to eat chow, and we wasn't in the field, he's like, you better eat like a king. Eat like he was a white dude, but he talked black.
Yeah.
I think his wife was black, so he was really hood.
Yeah.
But it didn't make sense because he was a skinny, like 8 Mile kind of guy, but more of like a skeleton. Like his face looked like a skeleton.
Yeah.
He was skinny. And he was like, eat like a king, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, what the heck is going on? But every time he would say it, he might come to chow list or whatever, like, eat like a king, ain't that right? And sure enough, his damn plate would be stacked with like a bunch of stuff. It's like, nah, I never know when your last meal is going to be, like a king. And I'm like, I'm getting tired of hearing that.
Would you say he was like more of your, during that time, a mentor in SOI? Or he was just that,
I guess for
cool cousin kind of vibe.
I guess for SOI standards, because really you don't know, you think mentor from the boot camp as like drill instructor, well, all proper and all that.
Uh-huh.
These guys were more salty, like they had more relaxed kind of feel to him a little bit. So I wouldn't say he was. I guess for SOI terms, maybe he was a mentor because he was more straight up with you. He was like really real. Like
so,
it was like no bullshit.
Yeah.
This is really blunt.
So,
But he also did some stuff that I wouldn't do or expect a sergeant to do.
Yeah, but you had
So he'd fit right here, E4 Mafia podcast. He was no shit, probably the start of the E4 Mafia. You know what I mean?
So you had some instructors that were by the book. You know what I mean? Like and then they did their job well. And they instructed you. But you also had some instructors that went that little extra step of, mentoring you and maybe pulling you to the side or talking to you straight up like, hey, I would do this or that instead of this, hey, you're doing a great job
I
of
wouldn't
this.
say he was like that.
No.
He was more of, like I said, he was blunt because of whatever. He told us some war stories, but whatever he went through, he was like, "This is why I'm telling you this."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. There were some serious moments. There was also some times where, again, I knew he was drunk.
Yeah.
Like he was,
Yeah.
he was pretty tipsy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess he was a mentor. The other two were just, now I would think they're just like there to be there.
Okay.
Like
Like
they
this
just
is a
that was
job.
that was their B billet. They didn't want
Yeah.
to be a recruiter or a drill instructor, so the next best thing was combat instructor.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what they went through.
Yeah.
They were pretty chill, but they weren't like
They didn't go the extra
they did.
mile. to-
Yeah, I feel like they did the bare minimum.
Right.
Like they did the minimum they could do to make sure everything got done, and then after that they were like, go home, go
Yeah.
with my family, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess he was our mentor. He's the one that would, like, if he was on duty for that night, and this is another story about to get into, he would come out and talk to us.
Okay.
And sit around with us. Again, he was probably drinking
Yeah.
on duty.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
goes into another story where, I think it was a weekend. It was a Saturday, and he was on duty. And so he was coming out, and he had a wall lock. He was like, y'all come over here. I'm going to tell you this story, blah, blah. And he was telling us about a story how he basically said, why I'm up, they see me, I'm down was stupid.
Yeah.
So he was like, we're going through this field, man. Grass weeds were this tall, and then all you hear automatically from this little hut, this little building, so back, crack, crack, and going all through. And you see the damn weeds getting chopped down below you. We're online, you're giving it to them. Then get over there, and then they're gone. There's no shell casings. We're like, what the fuck? We know we just shot from over here, and then we find a tunnel that goes underneath, and we found these guys. We killed them, and they had a little blanket full of shell casings. He was like, they're smart. They ain't just little Hodgies. And I was like, what is he talking about? Like, we don't know anything about this. But I mean, come to find out, it was really real because like they're how smart they were to pick up their shell casings in the blanket. So when they were there shooting the whatever machine gun they were shooting, they would gather all the shell casings in the blanket and take off, so there would be no trace of evidence that they were there.
Yeah.
Then the tunnel's a little rat tunnel into another house. Ended
Yeah.
up catching him. But then he came out one night, and it was a Saturday night, came out with 3 or 4 cases of beer. We're not allowed to drink.
Yeah.
They tell us don't drink. Even on Libo, we wasn't supposed to drink.
Yeah.
Come out with 3 or 4 cases of beer. Like I'm talking 30 rack cases of Budweiser. Comes out. Everybody got beer. And so we, like, the guys didn't even drink. He's like, you're gonna drink. So we're sitting there. We all got like 2 beers each. We're cracking beers, and he's telling us stories or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember he got so pissed off at this one kid. I don't remember why, but he was basically like pissed. Again, he was also drunk, so I don't know what pissed him off.
Yeah.
And he was like, get your E-tool, get outside. I'm going to bury your bitch ass. And I was like, I was fully, like, I so hardly believed he was about to kill this kid.
Damn.
Like, I was like, yep. And I don't know what I keep my mouth shut, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be next. And then they eventually came back. It was raining outside, but apparently he made him dig a fighting hole in the quad. That's why he was yelling at him drinking. And then it came back all dirty. He was like, and then he just went back to the duty hut. He just walked out of the squad bed, went back to the duty hut. And we were like, did we go to bed now? I guess we go to bed.
Yeah, I don't remember any of my instructors coming out talking to us.
The other two,
you know?
I mean, the other one of them did every now and then.
Yeah.
He walked in on that same instructor one time, telling us, he was like, what you doing, telling war stories? He was like, yeah. He was like, why don't you come down here, sit down, tell us one of yours? He was like, no. And he walked out, he was like, that motherfucker probably ain't got no real stories. I was like, okay. like putting doubt in our head on this instructor, but I'm sure, I mean, I never saw their class, their, Charlies or whatever, or their blues to see what ribbons they had.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, as well, fucking ribbons really don't mean much.
Yeah.
All the stories of people faking contact and all that
Yeah.
just to get the ribbon.
Yeah.
Another topic for another day. But
Yeah, that's where you also go in depth about how your parents of uniforms are supposed to be.
yes, yeah, because we had to, when you check in, you had to come in with your Charlies,
Yeah.
and obviously they're probably not great
No, no.
I think, dude, I still have in my thing, I still have the same tie and the same knot that I tied from SOI or from not boot camp.
Yeah.
Till this day, I don't know how to tie a Windsor knot.
Really?
Dude, when I got to the fleet, the first thing I did was bought a clip-on tie.
They
It had a perfect
wouldn't-
Windsor knot, and then they couldn't tell the difference.
They wouldn't let us do that.
And they were like, and then because we kept messing it up, the squatter was like, fine, as long as it looks good, I don't care. In the fleet, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Because of your inspection and all that. So, and it was in the regulations, so there was really no rule. I mean, technically no rule, but if your platoon or commander didn't like it, there was a rule. Like, don't do it. But they didn't really care back in the fleet. That was the first thing I did, but I'm sure my ties in there still tied.
Yeah.
From SOI or boot camp, one of the two, because I hardly ever touched it.
Dude, I don't even know where my Class A uniform is. It's probably packed up somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I got my little thing. It's probably in one of my totes.
Yeah.
But
yeah, mine's probably in a tote somewhere.
Yeah, that's where you learn all your stuff and whatnot. But that was just, I just remember him being so funny.
Yeah.
Just so funny. And then some of the dude, that's when I think SOI or MCT or whatever, if you're there, SOI especially, that's when you're first introduced to Toby's.
Yep. Toby's, yeah. Because you can see it right there.
It's right out the gate.
Yep.
The first thing you see outside the gate is Toby's.
Yep.
For those of you guys don't know what Toby's is, it's a strip club. That's what it is.
So, yeah.
Nasty little things.
So, the whole strip right there is nasty. Because everything.
Jacksonville's a terrible place to be stationed.
It is. It's disgusting. But they're smart. Because that whole strip is nothing but bars and strip clubs.
And car lots.
And car lots, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a mall there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
That's the first time on Libos when I saw, I forgot what they called him, the Kung Fu guy. The black dude that would do Kung Fu.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't see him.
That's the first time I saw him in SOI.
I saw him when I got to the fleet. Camp Lejeune. What is his name? It's like Ninja. Was it?
I want to say Larry comes to mind for some reason, but
something Ninja. I can't remember.
But yeah, that's the first time I saw him on Libo.
Supposedly he's a Marine.
I didn't realize who he was and what kind of legend he was.
Yeah.
I say legend, but like, just a trademark stamp.
Yeah, everybody knows him.
But for those of you guys don't, there was this guy, usually shirtless with either a backpack or weights or something, and he was out there on one of the intersections at the crosswalk. Not in the crosswalk, but where the push the button to walk, he'd be out there doing Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Walking down.
In cami trousers and black combat boots.
Yeah, just doing Kung Fu.
Yep.
I was like, what is this guy?
Everybody knows.
Everyone knew him, dude.
Everybody.
Like that's what he did every day. I don't know how he survived, but I guess.
And nobody messed with him. Nobody tried to do anything.
Not that I know of.
No. Every time I saw him, he was still there.
Yeah, I mean, who's he bothering really? Let him do his thing. But yeah, that's when you first introduced. I mean, I went to Toby's. Me and you have the same thing on strip clubs, man. They're a waste of money. Yeah. If you're going and you want to experience a strip club, I would recommend not Toby's. But if you do, I guess, to experience it for your first time, go for it. Yeah. I would say leave all your credit cards and take a cash.
Yeah.
Leave your debit card because they're going to scam you. They're going to try to get you to buy a dance and charge you more money and all that. Just bring a certain amount of cash, and that's it. Yeah. That's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, I would say just get it out of your system then. Toby's, and then you had Driftwood right down the road. Then all of it's nasty, but if you've never been and you want to experience it, I guess you just go to those.
I mean, again, I wouldn't recommend Toby's for your first one, but
no,
I mean, that was the first time, dude, I've been on my own in my entire life. Like, you're just out of high school. Yeah, you're 18 years old and you got freedom. And you're a Marine. You think you're this big bad thing. Yeah, really, you're not. You're just a boot. And
yeah, you learn that quickly once you get in the fleet.
Yeah, you learn how small you are.
Nothing. Even though you made it and now you're a Marine,
because you're going into an organization where everyone's already done it. Yeah, like you're nothing special in the Marine Corps.
That's
nothing
true.
Special.
You're really not.
And even when you're out, who cares if you've been through a lot of dude. I hate to say it, but really, who cares if you're a Marine? Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, no one really gives a crap. Yeah, but it is a sense of purpose. There are some people that do and respect it, but in the real world, like if you're going to your boss looking for a job, no one cares if you're a Marine. Yeah. But There are plenty of good benefits from it. Don't get me wrong when I tell you guys that no one cares. I care for you that you're a Marine. I hope that you're a Marine. I really do.
I mean, again, not dogging on that, but I'm proud that I'm a Marine.
Wouldn't change it for the world. If I had to do it all over again,
I wouldn't regret none of it. But if there's nothing transitioning out there, I mean, it doesn't matter what you've done, as a Marine or while you're in the Marine Corps. When you're out, you're out.
Yeah.
Nobody else really cares that you're a Marine.
No. It's nothing special.
No.
Like it is special, but no one cares.
Yeah.
And the sooner that you guys realize that, the better. Like it's going to be, you cannot come out like you didn't. You'll figure it out once you go through your 4 years. You can't come out like you're this big bad thing.
The biggest thing I would say is just be humble.
100%.
Be humble.
It's
hard.
I
mean, we've done things especially that other normal kids never done or has been through, but
top 1%.
Yeah, but at the same time, be humble, because I've met plenty of Marines when I got into the fleet, and I've actually come back from my first tour, and then we went out drinking. I've met new Marines that just got out of, or while still in SOI, and they're like, "I'm a fucking Marine." I don't even tell them I'm a Marine. I'm like, "Okay, great, you're a Marine." Like, calm the fuck down, dude. I don't give a shit. Him not knowing that we've just got back from and we're trying to get drunk, and he wants to be Billy Badass over here. I'm a Marine. Okay, dude.
The one thing you can point out, talk about Toby's and Libo. The one thing you can point out, if you go to the mall, you're going to find boots.
Brand new.
You know why? Because they're going to have their stupid assault pack on their back. They're going to have their damn, some of the country people are going to have their damn combat boots on. Sometimes even bloused, like jeans bloused. Oh, God, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Hey, whatever.
Yeah. Well, we'll tell you now. Just, if you do go in, trust me, save your money. Don't go out, when you go into the fleet, don't go out buying a brand new car either. Yep. Save your money. I'm telling you. You don't get paid like that as you think you do. Not like Air Force or whoever else.
Do you remember what I told you?
No.
Remember before I went off to boot camp or whatever.
Yeah. So
there was an Audi R8.
Yeah, I forgot what dealership was. I don't even know why we're going to look. I think you just said you wanted to go look, and I was like, all right, we'll go and look. And then we saw it, because that is one of my favorite sports cars. And the way it looked,
it was real nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's not too expensive compared to other sports cars. Yeah. But and you, I remember you looking at it. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that when I get into the fleet. I looked at you. I was like, with what money? What are you talking about? You're like, yeah, the money we're gonna make, and when I get into the fleet. I said, bruh.
Did little Alan know
you're not gonna make that kind of money.
Get paid crumbs to go do terrible hard work.
I said, dude, this is $100,000 car. What do you think we're making in here?
It's kind of like when Gary Owens, his little stand-up comedian thing where he told his mom when he got in. Yeah. He was like, "Mom, you ain't gotta work no more." Yeah. He's getting like $1,800 a month. You ain't gotta work no more.
You can retire now.
You can retire right now. That's what I thought, man. I was like, I'm gonna get me an Audi R8.
Yeah.
Don't buy brand new cars. Don't go buy sports cars.
No.
Just get a car. From half the time you don't even have time to go anywhere.
No.
You're just driving on base to the PX every now and then, or going out with your buddies in town, and it's only half the time we took a cab or an Uber.
Yeah.
I don't think Ubers were a thing back then.
No,
or it was just starting up for me.
Taxis when I was back in the day. But yeah, I mean, when you get Liberty, Libo, whatever you want to call it, you don't get much time anyways. I mean, I'm not saying don't get a car, because it does suck. When I was in, it sucked having to get a taxi all the damn time.
Yeah, you definitely want to get a car.
But get a reliable car, but a cheap car, you know what I mean?
Like what was it, 2025 now? Get like a 2015 Honda Civic.
Yeah.
They're still nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they'll get you to point A, point B. All your boys are going to drive it anyways. You're probably going to throw up in it a couple times. Your boys will, at the very least.
Yeah.
You're going to trash it. Like, there's no point in buying a brand new Camaro or a brand new Mustang, because you're probably going to get a speeding ticket too, and then you're going to get in trouble by your command because you got a speeding ticket, which is the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
But you know,
because the biggest thing is you're gonna regret having that brand new car and spending all your money for that car and not having no money
to do anything.
to
Plus,
do anything else.
they know that they know, hey, look at me. They know a boot when they see a boot. And those car dealership people are going to get you the highest percentage interest rate they can give you.
Yeah. Because at that time, you don't really know that you can.
You're on your own for the first time in life.
And you're not, and you're going to be excited, you know, and you're going to feel like, okay, I'm not under mom and dad's wings or whatever you want to say. And
you're
I can
under
do,
sergeant and corporal's wings now.
Yeah. But I can go do whatever I want to go do. So, you know, don't go out crazy, you know, save. I'm telling you, save your money. Because that's one thing I regretted from my second deployment. I should have just saved my money. That's one thing I wish I could go back and redo, is save my money.
I will say I did buy my little sports car, which was the Scion FRS, the poor man's sports car.
Oh, yeah, the white one. Was it white?
Yeah, it was white.
Yeah.
Then I eventually got it painted gray. But that was after my first deployment. I had saved a little money because you were mentoring me a lot for that.
Yeah.
We got the combat pay, we got the hazard pay. We came back with a shit ton of money.
Well, we thought it was.
I mean,
thought it was, but looking back at it, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that much.
Dude, I would do it again. I'd love to go back on a deployment. Everything's paid for. You get to do a fun, cool ass job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you come back with some money as long as you're.
Yeah.
As long as your Toby's wife don't take it all.
Like Gary Owens said, I thought I was rich.
Yeah.
When I looked at my account.
But I did buy that, but I paid a lot up front for it, and then I bought it used too. Guy took good care of it, and then on my second deployment, I paid it off.
Yeah.
That's what I saved my money to do. I paid it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Liberty SOI, you learn a lot. You do a lot of fun stuff. You learn how to become an infantry marine to the basic level. That's what it's for, and you know what the main parts of your rifle do, or what your rifle does, the max effective range. You think bullet compensation when it drops, how high, why it does it, all that. I thought it was also pretty cool. We saw the scout snipers training going through their school, and at first I was like, oh, those guys are cool. They're all got camouflage. They're in their ghillie suits and they're standing around. But then I realized that they have to scout or recon shuffle everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get to do buses and stuff like that. They recon shuffle everywhere. And I'm like, you're telling me
for the most part,
you're lightly jogging everywher you go?
Majority
I
of
don't
the
want to
time,
do that. I was
Yeah.
like, screw that. They look cool.
Yeah.
They look cool.
Yeah. I'll give it to them. That's another hard MOS for those. I know a few that came out when I got in the fleet. They did a deployment, and then after that, they decided that they wanted to transition to be a scout sniper. And
Yeah, it's a hard school.
Yeah, they go through some stuff.
If you think sniper, I think that's a cool job. Along with all the other NDOCs, recon, raiders.
So you have to be very patient as a sniper.
Yeah, that's why I knew I was
Very
done.
patient. But yeah, speaking of recon, back then it was called recon. Now it's called MARSOC.
They still have recon.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
It was.
So it's not what it used to be.
No, they're not even called MARSOC now. They're called Raiders.
Raiders, yeah. But that's their.
But back then, the equivalent to that was recon.
Yeah. So the
like Generation Kill.
Right. The broad name is still under MARSOC, but they're called Raiders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember graduation from SOI. We had an instructor come, didn't even know who he was. Then he's like, anybody want to, well, he first congratulated us. He's like, yeah, you got one more day about to graduate. If anybody wants to join recon, raise your hand. And so me and Young looked at each other, and I was like, what's recon? He's like, I don't know. I was like, you want to try it? He said, sure. So we raised our hand.
Little did you know.
Yeah. So they told us where to be. I think after graduation, we had to go somewhere on Camp Lejeune's base. I don't know if it was on at Cherry Point or Camp Lejeune. But we went to one of the buildings with the pools in it. And there was like maybe 15, 20 of us there from wherever.
Yeah.
And then they told us what we had to do. And that was tough. That was really tough. I didn't even know what recon still was while I was doing it.
You were doing the NDOC to go to the NDOC, right?
Yeah. So what we went through was the NDOC to see if you
can even try the real NDOC.
Yeah.
And then you had still to be selected.
Yeah, and then even if you made it, you get selected. Yeah.
NDOC is for those of you guys who don't know, NDOC is, think about what SEALs have to go through buds, but it's not as hard as buds. Like I would say, I don't know. I'm not a special operations guy, so I wouldn't know if it's harder than buds or not.
Well,
But
NDOC,
it's not as. I don't feel like it's that as tough as buds.
no.
Like I guess I would put like, Delta and buds in, or their Delta and the SEALs, their NDOC or their selection process. I would put those two at the top, and all the ones fall below it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, as
from what I've heard from.
as a selection process, yes.
Yeah, those two are probably the hardest.
But I believe the Raiders are still go through the same.
They do, yeah. Don't
Process.
get me wrong, it's hard.
Yeah,
I mean, to become a tier 2 operator or tier 1, that's hard.
Yeah, well, they're not tier 1. They're tier 2. SEALs and them are tier 1.
Well, SEAL Team 6 is tier 1. Delta guys are tier 1.
Yeah,
And then it's like, I would say, if I'm not mistaken, there is a MARSOC. It's kind of like how they do with the SEALs. Like SEAL Team 6 is the best of the best SEAls.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tier 1 operators. All the other SEAL teams, from what I understand, are tier 2. And then MARSOC has their own one group where they're the best of the best MARSOC, and that's a tier 1 group. But SEALs are more. I think SEALs, their bread and butter is going to be underwater demolition, water. They that's where they live.
yeah,
Same thing for Delta. Delta has their own specific thing, hostage rescue, whatever it be, and then MARSOC has their own thing.
Yeah.
That their bread and butter is this, so that's what they mainly do. But they do everything else too. But yeah. But yeah, you had to go to the NDOC to see if you can even be eligible for the NDOC.
Yeah. So the swimming portion again, you go through essentially the same thing you would go through in boot camp with the camis and all that. It's just a lot longer.
Yeah.
So when you tread in water, you're almost, I think it was like 35, 40 minutes for treading water.
Yeah. I'm good.
My ankles and my wrists were sore as hell. Then you go through, I think it was 500 meters of 3 different types of strokes that you would do. So essentially the same thing you would do in boot camp, you do that, and then you go do a PFT right after that. And it sucked.
Yeah,
it was tough. And I remember at one point I saw Young. I was like, what are we doing, dude? He's like, I don't know. But he swam really well. Like I think I was short a little bit on my time, but that motherfucker swam like a dolphin. I was like, damn, dude.
Like out of the water, just flopping. Yeah.
He was really good. And then after the PFT, when we did the PFT and they called me up, and I can remember it clear as day. They're like, you missed it by like 3 points or something like that. And they're like, you can come back in a couple of weeks, try it again. I said, no, sir. I'll go back to infantry. I'm going back to the infantry. Let me go do that. And then I remember a dude standing by the pull-up bar, swole jack dude. And he looked like he's about to cry. He's like, please let me do it again. Let me get another chance. They're like, no, you have to come back. I think that was his second time. So they told him he had to come back in 6 months or 3 months or something like that to do it again. He wanted to do it again then because he didn't want to come back 3 months to do it.
Dude, you would think like if that's your goal, like you would prepare for that.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, if that's like what you really want to do and you've done it once, you know what the NDOC is, and you failed again.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for you. Like, like if that is your no shit goal, go and train every day like that.
Right.
It ain't me. A guy, I think it'd be cool to be, a special operator and all that. But do I want to go through all that? Maybe ask me back then.
Yeah.
I would have been like, yeah. But like now, hey man, you got it.
I give it to him, dude.
I know myself, and I wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm not even gonna put myself through.
Yeah. You're capable.
It's a special type of mentality.
I'm sure if we had if our mentality was that we would do that and train, and then so that way we know we would pass. But
or have the best chance to pass. Not even know you would pass, but just the best chance.
Right. Yeah. But I give it to him, dude. That was the hardest NDOC to NDOC that I ever had to do.
Mine was different, man. They asked us whenever, because then now we're going back to SOI and rolling through that. Before our graduation, I don't even remember the graduation, what that ceremony was even like. But
you just got
That's what I feel like it was, a piece of paper, and then you get on a bus, and now you're going to the fleet.
Yeah. That was it.
You got picked up by your NCOs from the fleet, whatever company you're going to, on a bus. They came on the bus and they picked you up.
Yeah, it was like a white school bus, I think.
Yeah, like a little transit bus.
Yeah.
But I remember they asked us, they were like, okay, who wants to be a part of the cat platoon? Who wants to do cat platoon? It's like, y'all motherfucking never went over cat platoon. What is that? Like, I'm like, what? Little did I know, they only drive Humvees and ride in Humvees. They ain't have to hump everywhere. And they had to walk anywhere. They're in Humvees all the time and shooting 50 cals and Mark 19s and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be in no cat platoon. I was like, I didn't even ask what it was. They didn't even tell us.
No.
A couple dudes raised their hand, and I saw them in the fleet, and they were like, and I was like, what do y'all do? Like, whatever happened? What is a cat? He's like, no, this is cat platoon. It's like, so what do y'all do? He's like, we had to exercise with them in 29 Palms where they came up and did all their stuff. And I was like, how do you guys get everywhere? Well, we drive these Humvees. I was like, fuck y'all, dude. I was like, screw y'all, man. Like, man, we walked here, bro. we got dropped by 7 times and walked to this destination in the desert.
Yeah.
But I don't regret that decision. But that's what they asked us.
Yeah.
And then they told us to put down where your top 3 duty stations.
Yeah.
And infantry only had like 3.
Yeah.
So it was,
So what was your first one?
Hawaii.
That was my first
Duh.
one.
And then I was like, California, Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've never been to Cali. If you want to station me in Cali, it's good weather.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, I wasn't keen to the politics of California that,
Oh, yeah. Now,
all that stuff. And even now, I would still go to California, but they're like, okay. So you put it all down, like, yeah, but you have a good chance. That's what they told us. Like, you have a good chance to go to your top 2 at very least. Your third one, you're doing what doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, line up. We're going by name or alphabetical order. And I was like, fuck, dude, please let Hawaii be last because my name's Yi. It's like, I know I'm going last. They're like, okay, first up, Hawaii. And I just knew when they said Hawaii, exactly where I was going. I was going to Camp Lejeune. Like, Hawaii, okay, A through whatever. Next one. All right, Camp Pendleton. Well, this one through whatever. Or California, Camp this. And I was like, dude, I'm going to Camp Lejeune, dude. I'm going 3 blocks over to the right. I was like, I got to stay here. I was like, damn, dude. Like, they just tricked me.
Well, at the time, I didn't know where Camp Lejeune was.
I didn't either.
So when they told me, I just knew that they said Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So I knew we were in North Carolina.
Somewhere in the state.
I just didn't know.
Got on that bus and I was like, they picked us up. And
where
like,
Camp Lejeune was.
I was like, we're here.
So that's what
like 15-minute drive.
I did the same thing. I put Hawaii because I was like, dude, I've never been to Hawaii, so I want to go to Hawaii. So I had Hawaii, Cali, and Camp Lejeune.
I stayed in touch with some of the guys that still went to Hawaii. And throughout my career, and they was like, it's cool for the first like year and a half, but after that, it's like all your hikings in mountains, you're doing jungle stuff, and it's like, dude, honestly, after you've been out here for this long, like, it sucks. Yeah, it's like I would rather be in Camp Lejeune. I was like, you're fucking nuts, dude. I was like, you're crazy as hell.
Well, the biggest thing that was Camp Lejeune doesn't have that many mountains. It's just more hills.
No, Camp Lejeune has swamps.
Yeah, we have swamps.
Disgusting woods.
Yeah, and then you're out in the woods.
Freaking Vietnam warfare back out there, dude. That's all you train.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but I prefer that because doing training in the mountains sucks.
Yeah, going to California to train, 29 Palms, all that.
Yeah, you talking about some bad knees.
But they got...
God dang. Twisted ankles and...
Yeah, but that was what my ending part of it was. Got any advice for them for SOI? You really don't have much time to prepare for SOI. You have like 7 days of leave after boot camp to go see your family, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, for one, I had a little bit longer because I had to wait for the next rotation.
You did recruiting.
Yeah. So I was able to do recruiting. So I came back to my recruiter, and then he set us up. I think it was 3 weeks. I was home for 3 weeks or something like that. And so we got to go around the different high schools and help recruiters. And so they told me at the time, if you help recruit, you get points towards your next promotion. So I was trying to recruit everybody in these damn high schools. I was picking. I was going from the females, the males, the skinniest person to the largest dude. I was like, hey, y'all should join the Marine Corps, bro.
You can buy yourself an Audi R8, bro, when you get in there.
I say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is and, that, and so I think I signed 5 or 6 people during those 3 weeks, and so I got meritoriously promoted to Lance at I think it was the last week of SOI.
So when they did the promotion, was it like normal promotion ceremonies?
Yeah, it was a normal promotion ceremony.
Okay.
So yeah, I got Lance Corporal right then and there.
Little did you know that was a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a bad idea
fleet,
for your career, but it was a bad idea when you got to the fleet.
Yeah, it was a bad idea when I got in the fleet, which we'll talk about that when we get into the fleet. But yeah, the biggest thing is, to me, would be a sponge.
Mm.
That's the biggest thing I would say is, don't take your freedom that you do have when you get out from boot camp and into SOI for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Be a sponge. Don't get lazy, because that's your initial phase of moving to the next step of as an infantryman.
Yeah.
I don't know about any other MOSs, but as an infantryman, learn as much as you can and don't take advantage of that freedom that you do have. I'm not saying don't go have fun here and there, because you deserve it from what you've been through already, but also learn as much as you can. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I agree with you. I would say don't I know we kind of downplayed, what you accomplished so far, but it is a great achievement if you become a Marine and you make it to SOI. You have achieved a lot, and you do deserve your break.
Yeah.
Whatever other people might think, that you're still in and you're a salty guy, and you're like, oh, forget those guys. You're probably if you're watching this, you're probably part of the problem, honestly. I regret a lot of stuff. I regret a few things and a decent amount of stuff that I should have handled better knowing my leadership and how it developed now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's for a later transition, probably the episode or even the fleet. But yeah, don't downplay. You did accomplish a lot. You are a Marine now, but at the same time, like he said, be a sponge, be humble.
Yeah.
Don't learn that humble lesson a hard way, and just enjoy it. I say it's gonna suck, but enjoy it. Like you're gonna meet some really cool friends, and you're gonna do a lot of cool stuff. You're gonna do a lot of stuff that sucks. Or do you think it's pointless? Probably is pointless.
Yeah.
So we're not fighting in Vietnam and jungle warfare. Currently, right now, doesn't mean it still couldn't change. I mean, look at Ukraine and Russia doing trench warfare. But I say just enjoy it. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be hard, but you'll look back when you get out and you're gonna be like, damn, I wish I could go back.
Yeah.
Certain things, and sit in a fighting hole with my buddy one last time when it's piss raining and it just sucks. There's bugs everywhere. But you're gonna miss those times with your buddies. That's what it is, the camaraderie. So that's my advice. Be humble, be a sponge, and go from there.
Yeah.
But guys, that's the end of the podcast for this episode. It's part of our series. The series include boot camp, SOI, the fleet. The fleet might be multiple parts, and then it's going to be deployments, might also be multiple parts, multiple episodes, and then transitioning out. That transitioning out is probably going to include what you should do, what you expect, how it's probably going to feel to you, your mental health, and all that stuff that we wish people would have told us throughout our career, and how not to make certain mistakes and do whatever. But it's going to be a good series. But this is the SOI MCT series.
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty decent little talking point.
Yeah, it was.
A couple funny stuff and some little serious stuff and what you might encounter. But
yeah.
Look, guys, we appreciate you guys watching. If you would, please drop a like, subscribe, notification bell, leave us a comment, stuff that you guys want to see next time, what we left out, your experiences. We'd love to read them and engage with you guys on that part. Yeah. So, guys, again, I'm Alan.
And I'm Mike.
Thank you guys for watching the E4 Mafia podcast. Till next time.